Hi guys, welcome. This is our first session, hopefully of many to follow, and we're going to talk you through creating bots, and we're going to talk about the AI part of bots. So in this session, the four of us, me, Albert Jan, I'm a Dutch MVP, Rick, Thomas, and Stefan are going to walk you through some of the basics for QnA Maker. So let's start with a really quick introduction of ourselves, then a quick introduction of QnA Maker, and then right into some demo mode. First, my name is Albert Jan. Most people know me as Appy. I'm a Dutch MVP. I work at Mavention, and well, over the last few years, I've been doing quite some things with Office 365 and SharePoint. And well, the last year we've seen that chatbots are pretty booming. So together with Rick, I did some sessions on chatbots. And last year, together with Thomas and Stefan, we already did a workshop, a full-day workshop. And based on the experiences that we had there, we decided that it makes sense to do a few webcasts. And well, we're going to start with a really simple one on the QnA Maker.
Yep, and my name is Rick van Woeselt. I'm a Belgian MVP. I work at Advantive, and yeah, let's show you some demos today.
Yeah, my name is Thomas Gölles. I'm an Austrian MVP. Like Api, I'm also known with a nickname, and that's Tommy. Who have thought?
Yeah, my name is Stefan. I'm also from Austria and working together with Tommy. And I hope you enjoy the webcast and the webinar series. Good. So let's start off by some basics before we dive deeper into bots. Let's start off by looking at some basic cognitive services, or mainly one cognitive services, which is known under the name QnA Maker, which is part of the cognitive service APIs. The cool thing about it is it's just a simple API web service which you can use to aggregate and extract knowledge from various data sources. Basically, it's hosted in your Azure subscription, so you are the owner of your data and no one else. You have a lot of data privacy and compliance rules which you can apply to QnA Maker as it is hosted in your compliance boundaries. You're responsible for the data in it. You get some basic chit-chat personalities built in as well, ranging from professional up to friendly and enthusiastic. And you got some pretty nice application insights integrations, which you can use to analyze your service and later on the performance and the measurements of your bot. QnA Maker basically is used to train a natural language processing QnA model based on new, or if you have existing FAQs. You got active learning features, which basically enhance your knowledge bases by the means of the user inputs. You got available various nugget packages for the Microsoft Bot Framework, which you can use to integrate QnA Maker into your bot without the need to do everything in terms of coding on your own. And if you need more, you can even combine it with Azure Search in order to have like deeper knowledge extraction services. If you look at on how to set up such a QnA Maker service, you're mainly doing 4 steps. First of all is to set up the QnA Maker service within Azure. It can either be done via the Azure portal or via Azure PowerShell or the CLI. If you have that, next step is to create your knowledge base. Just simply hit QnAMaker.ai, populate your knowledge base from either online resources or enter the question and answer pairs manually.
Stefan, how many questions and answers can we put in? Do you know that?
We'll see that later on because there's a nice feature which the Microsoft team has released in the last couple of weeks. There's an interactive bot which you can actually ask during population of your knowledge base in terms of limits and other service and responsibilities you have to look at. We'll see that later on in the demo. So basically, there is a limit. We'll see that later on. We'll talk about that later on. Then, if you have populated your knowledge bases, time to train it, time to test it, and of course, it's time to refine your knowledge base. So upon training and testing, you'll be detecting some maybe minor issues with your data in the knowledge base. You just have to refine that in order to make sure that your knowledge base is up to date and the questions will be answered in a meaningful way. And if you're happy with the results of testing, you're simply publishing your knowledge base, which means the API endpoint will be accessible from then on, and the published or the trained model will be published, and the applications like your bot in the end or other applications are ready to use that endpoint. So that was it from the basics and from theory. I guess we should now have a look at the practice. So let's spin up some QnA Maker service from QnAMaker.ai. As I said, we already did the creation within the Azure portal. So if you want to have a look at the Azure portal, you just have to go to portal.azure.com, hit create a resource, then search for QnA Maker, hit create, and then you just enter a name, select your subscription, select your pricing tier, either a free one or a paid one, select your resource group, select the search pricing tier, which could be also a free one or a paid one, select your location where your data is then hosted, give it an app name, select the website location for your QnA Maker app service, select if you want to enable or not enable app insights and the location for that. And if you have done that, you just basically go back to the QnA Maker portal, select create a new knowledge base, and now you basically select your Microsoft Azure AD ID, which in my case is Rivara Consultancy, select the subscription name, and select the previously created QnA Maker service from the Azure portal. Give your knowledge base a name, which is in our case KB Webinar 01. Now it's time, if you have an online source, to insert the URL. As I said, if you have some question and answers already somewhere on your public-facing website, or either even in your SharePoint environment, you just basically can insert the URL. If it's residing within SharePoint, you're good to go with .tsv, PDF, doc, docx, or XLSX files, which have then to be consented via an admin consent to have the exact same permissions for the QnA Maker service to access them. If you've done that, in our case, we have a simple website where question and answers are shown. You can also upload some files. You can upload some TSV, PDFs, docs, whatever, in order to automatically populate your knowledge base. Now it's time to select the chit-chat personality. We'll go with enthusiastic. And then you just hit create your KB. And that will take some seconds and spins up your knowledge base in the backend. And after that, you should be able to see your question and answer pairs, which will be parsed from your website onto the QnA Maker knowledge base. You're basically ready to go.
If I would create a file for that, let's say there was the possibility to create a Word file or a docx file, so that's just a header, and then the thing paragraph below that is the answer, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
correct.
Okay. Yeah,
cool. Same with the PDF file, and then
same with the PDFs. Yeah, and what they worked on in the couple last weeks is that they have like multi-turn dialogues, which can be created via QnA Maker service. So you basically can have multiple headings, like heading 1 in Word, then comes some paragraph, then comes heading 2, and they basically are able to parse that as a whole question and create some multi-turn dialogues with prompts and all those kind of stuff right from an Excel or Word or PDF file.
Yeah, that sounds cool. That's something for our next webinar. Let's do it in there.
Yeah.
So now you've got this knowledge base. Is there any way that someone else besides me can edit these answers and questions? So can I, authenticate someone else to author this for me?
Yeah, of course. Basically, it's just like with any other Azure resource. From the Azure portal, you just have to go into your resource which you've spinned up, which is then Office question and answer. Yeah. And from there on, you have access control and identity and access management. And that's the same thing like for every other Azure resource. You just had hit role assignments. There you go. You see that all of us already have access. If you want to add some other users, which I apparently don't have rights to, you can just do that by add role assignment or even add a co-administrator. And then the person you're inviting to this knowledge base or to that QnA Maker service is able to hit QnAMaker.ai, and you will see the QnA Maker knowledge base you just created. Cool. So what we see now is that we've parsed, or that the service has parsed the headings and the paragraphs from our online source. What we also can now do is to activate our little helper in the left-hand side on the bottom, which is the QnA Maker help bot. And if I just want to learn something about the QnA Maker because I'm new to that service, I just hit learn about it, and it gives me some examples which questions I could ask. So Rick, you asked in the beginning, how about the limits? Mm-hmm. So we want to know something about the limits. It gives us certain possibilities. We want to have like knowledge base limits. We want to know how many data or how many questions we can store in that knowledge base. And as you can see, we have like a length of answer text, 25,000 characters, maximum number of alternate questions, 100, maximum number of question answer pairs depends on the Azure search tier chosen. So there's no exact value for general purpose. It just depends on your Azure search tier, which you choose from the creation of the QnA Maker service. And as you can see, we have like document limits for the Azure search service in the free tier of 10,000, and ranges up to 1 million per index or 200 million per index. So it's pretty a lot of
questions and answers.
Pretty a lot if you just think about it that it's text only.
Can you go back up to the bot because it said something about REST APIs?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, there.
If you want to learn how to use the REST APIs, we can select like create a knowledge base using REST API or even publish it. So we basically can also do all that kind of stuff we did right now with manual tasks automated via code. So we basically can spin up QnA Maker service instances via code, via the REST APIs, get the data in via REST API calls, train them, and publish them without the need to do a single click in the QnA Maker portal.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Then you can really automate the creation of bots of QnA Maker backend if you need it.
Yeah, that's the case if you think about the CI/CD pipeline. You want to automate your bot deployment and all those kind of stuff. Just integrate this into your pipeline. You're good to go. So that's basically what we have to do in terms of data insertion. Of course, we can now refine our question and answer pairs. We can add more question and answer pairs like what's Thomas' nickname? We just say it's Tommy, of course. And we also can then define alternate phrasing, because this is one thing you always have to think about. Not only add one question per question and answer pair, but add more, at least do that if you don't combine QnA Maker with language understanding, because otherwise the service, the QnA Maker service, is just as smart as the data it gets. So if you only have one question per QnA pair, will be only that smart. But if you add alternate phrases and alternate questions per pair, it gets smarter and you get a broader range, which you can then ask the QnA Maker service. So
And
always,
do I have to type in that question exactly to get that answer, or is there some kind of margin to it? Yeah.
It's just pattern matching. So it's basically what it does. It looks for certain patterns within the question, and at a given threshold or at a given confidence score, it will give you back the answer. So it will always say, if I ask a question to the QnA Maker service, it will always say, I'm for 70% sure that this question is the question you asked me, and this is the answer to that question. So it basically is based on confidence scores and pattern matching in the backend in order to determine the correct question it gives you back. It can also happen that the service doesn't only give you back one question or one answer, but multiple answers, because the questions or the question you inputted was found similar for 3 questions which are stored in the QnA Maker knowledge base, and will then give you back all the 3 answers. And you in your application, like your bot, then have to choose, okay, do I always take the one with the highest confidence score, or do I do like matching on my own in order to check if that question is the question I'm looking for? So it's basically just based on scoring in the end.
Cool.
Okay. So if we're good to go and we think that's a good knowledge base and we got the right question and answer pairs in it, the next thing we have to do is to hit save and train from the QnA Maker portal. What now happens is that the QnA Maker knowledge base model will be trained in the backend and will be built for us, because we're doing it for the first time, so there's no model yet. So will be now created. And if the model then is created, we can just, from the QnA Maker portal, hit test. We can then say, we just take one question and say, how do I log in to the portal? We'll then get some answers back, like you can log in with your Microsoft account, and from the QnA Maker service, you can always inspect the question. What you then see is the confidence score you get with that exact input. So the service is 87% sure that how do I log in portal matches with the answer you can log in with your Microsoft account. And if you look at the question, which will be how do I log into the QnA Maker portal, so you don't have to ask the exact same question, but the more questions you have added to your knowledge base, the more the more it will be possible to have your range inserted in the knowledge base, and that you have all questions which may be asked by the users added to your knowledge base. What you also will see, if there are multiple questions matching, you can also click on the other ones, and if you see, if you compare the confidence scores, the first one we had 87%, second one only has 14, the third one has also 14, so it's pretty sure that you will take the first answer and give it back to users then, instead of determining which could be true or the right one as well. Of course, when you develop your bot and you get like confidence scores which are pretty similar or close to each other, you then have to think about a mechanism in order to ask back the user, hey, did you mean this question or did you mean that question? And let the user pick the correct question for you in order to get the results the user needs to get. And if we're done with testing, we basically have to do one thing from the QnA Maker service, which is the publishing. And if we hit publish, what basically happens is that the production endpoint will be available for us, and we can then create a bot or any other application and consume that API endpoint. We'll get the keys, we'll get the IDs, we'll get the host name, which we'll then later on use for our bot to make sure to target that specific QnA Maker service. What's cool about it is that if we now say we have a QnA Maker knowledge base ready, we can basically from the QnA Maker portal create a new bot via this button. So if we click that, what basically happens in the background is that will be redirected to the Azure portal, and a new web app bot creation menu blade is spinned up for us, and all the necessary variables or inputs are already there. So we got our bot name, we got the subscription, we got the right resource group, the right location, we got the QnA Maker auth key already pre-filled. So we basically don't have to do anything on that side, except we want to manipulate something like the app name or the bot name or whatever. We can then just simply go further and hit create, and this will then create the bot in Azure. So we'll spin up another Azure resource, and there we see office question QnA bot is already taken. So we'll just add another character or two. Let's see if 01 is not taken. Yeah, what now actually happens is that another Azure resource is spinned up for us in the backend. So we'll get created another web app bot, which is basically an Azure web app with an extension for the Microsoft Bot Framework and the Azure Bot Service in order to connect various channels through the Azure Bot Service to your web app bot in the backend. It will take a couple of seconds in order to get that ready.
It always takes some time.
Yeah, but let me ask a question. The resource group that was already pre-filled. This is How does the system know which resource group I should choose?
The thing is that from your QnA Maker service, what you see here in the QnA Maker portal is not is not all information you have for your QnA Maker service, because the QnA Maker portal just displays QnA Maker specific settings. In the backend, you always have a QnA Maker service based on an Azure service.
Okay.
So you got the Office question QnA Maker Azure service.
In the beginning, of course.
The one we created in the beginning, because in the QnA Maker portal, this is just the knowledge base view. But one QnA Maker service can have multiple knowledge base instances at the same time. And Office question QnA obviously is associated with a resource group. And the portal in the backend just looks up where is Office question QnA Maker as an Azure instances hosted in which resource group, and then just pre-fills the QnA the web app bot creation with that exact same resource group.
Okay, cool.
So there's a bit of magic in there, if you will.
Or inheritance, it's called, but okay.
Yeah. And if your deployment is succeeded, just go to the resource you just created, and there you go. This is like the interface you're working with in terms of hosting and managing your bot. So this is like the web app bot Azure portal site, where you have multiple bot management tasks available, like build. If you want to have a look at it, you can download either the source code, you can get the emulator in order to download the emulator and test that locally. You can install the command line tools from that menu blade, or cool thing, you can open the online code editor and make some code changes even within the Azure portal. So you don't have to have an IDE on your machine. You don't have to have Visual Studio in order to do like minor changes. You can do that all from the online code editor which is based on the Monaco editor. Of course, if you want to have a bridge. Yeah.
Does it mean that I have a QnA bot right now without writing any line of code?
That's true.
Ah, cool.
So basically, what we can do now is to hit test in web chat. If I ask the same question I did before, how do I log in? It should be now connecting us to the QnA Maker service in the backend, and there we get the exact same question from the QnA Maker service, which we got from the testing step. So basically what we did right now is to just run through some manual steps for creating a knowledge base, creating the services from the Azure portal, writing 0 lines of code, and we basically now have a fully functional QnA bot deployed.
Okay. And now we're just gonna add this to Microsoft Teams, I guess?
Yeah. So, that would be the next step. So basically, from a production side, you would now make some minor changes to the code base in order to have like adaptive cards and all those kind of stuff in there, and like add some dialogues for greetings, for help, and all those kind of stuff. But if you have done that, you can basically add the bot to your various channels like Microsoft Teams. It's just basically two clicks away. So what we can do right here is to, of course, enable messaging. What we also could do is to enable calling. Of course, then we would need to change the code in the backend in order to support calling and in order to support natural language interaction. So like text to speech, speech to text, that kind of stuff. And we can also learn how to test the bot in Teams, publish the bot for Teams within the organization's Teams tenant app catalog. But for now, for testing it just in Teams, we're good to go with just hitting save, agreeing the terms, of course, and then the bot is available for Microsoft Teams via one specific ID, which is the Microsoft App ID. So each user which actually has that App ID is able to access that bot and talk with that bot or have a conversation with that bot right from the Microsoft Teams client. What we also can do from the settings pane is to change the icon, because the bot framework icon, if you have like multiple bots and all of the same icon, won't be that good from an end user perspective. So let's just quickly check for some bot icons. I'm not quite sure if we'll see that because it's pretty light gray in Teams, but I guess we figure out. What we also can do is to change the display name from here, which is basically the name of the bot from the channels. Doesn't interfere with the application name from the Azure resource. So we can also say now this is like the Office QnA bot without that 01 and all those kind of stuff. So it's basically the friendly name. We can also give it a description up here, which will be visible right from the channels like the Teams client. And it's our awesome QnA bot. And if we hit save, I could now give you, Rick, for example, this Microsoft App ID. Mm-hmm. If you would go to your Teams client, paste it in the search bar on the top, search for people, you would be able to have a conversation with that bot in Teams.
Yeah, cool. Well, we should test it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's switch screens and send me the bot app ID. So we switched screens and I have got the bot ID from Stefan right here. So let's see if we can find our bot. There we go. And this looks like a message, so that's probably not it. Yes, it is Stefan sending me the ID. So let's go to people. Here's our bot. Okay, so now I'm thinking I can talk to it. So how do I log on? Something like that. What did we say? And We have a
Yeah, it's log in, not log on.
Okay.
That's the thing, because we didn't have like an alternate phrase in there.
So that's a good tip. There we go. You can log in with your mic. So that's a good tip. We should always add a lot of alternate phrases.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Log on, log in. And what was the other one? What's Tommy's nickname? I'm guessing.
What's Thomas' nickname?
There it's Tommy, of course. There we
Smart
go.
bot. Smart
So we
bot.
already have a really smart bot. That's good to go. Now the problem is, I cannot add my users or ask my users to, because our bot is called the Office QnA bot. Which, can I find it? Let's see if I go to Teams. So I can find it by its name, but of course, if I want to add it to my team, manage team, let's add a member. Office A. No, that's not good. So I can't find it in my team or in my channel, maybe with the ID. No, as well. So, okay, now I'm stuck adding the bot. So we'll probably need a Teams app right now. So for that, we of course have the App Studio, which can be downloaded from the store. So if you go to More Apps and then you search for App Studio, here it is. Then you can install it in the Teams, and it will help you develop Microsoft Teams apps. So for that, we need the manifest editor. Let's create a new app, because we need a new app. Let's give it a name. What was it? The name? Office QnA bot.
Yep.
Something like cool. This bot. We need an ID, so we need to generate one. Let's give it a version name 0.0.1. Why not 0.0.1? A description.
Actually, you put the version name to the package name field.
Oh yeah, of course. Package name is webinar.office.bot, something like that. Google bot ever. This is our cool bot, except if you type log on instead of log in, something like that. And then, who are we? So what's our website? I don't know. Can we take Microsoft's website?
Let's see.
See if that works.
Let's see if they check it. Nope.
No. Okay, so we just stole their website. Okay, that's good. And then we already got 2 icons. Okay, that's why not? And then we pick a cool color. Let's say green. Is it updating? Yeah, there is green. And then of course we need to build a bot. So let's just click setup. We have already an existing bot. So let's give it a different name. See what happens, because why do we need to give it a name again and then again and again? So
a lot of names.
Yeah, a lot of naming. This is, I'm guessing, the ID you provided me, Stefan. So it should be this one.
Yeah.
And then uploading and download files. No, because it's just QnA. One-way notification bot. Yeah, we want to do it both ways. So it's not going to be doing notifications only. And like you said, we don't have a video or audio calling system behind that. So, and let's make it a personal one, because I want to talk to it myself, and let's add it to the team as well. So let's click save. There we go. This is all our bot information. That's looking good. We don't have a tab, no connector, no message extension. Valid domains, we don't have a tab, so we don't need valid domains. And then let's click test. Let's just install our app. I'll add it for myself. I'll add it to a team, why not? Search for a team. Let's call the development team, of course. Let's install it. And now we're good to go. I'll go to General tab, set it up. And there we go. Office QnA bot. How do I log in? Send it. That I'm asking it a question. I'll probably have to mention it. Okay, this is our. Is this the name we gave it? Yeah, Office QnA bot is our cool Bot acceptable type of log. Okay, so this is the team's name.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it doesn't have an answer. I forgot to ask the question. There we go. And now we got a cool answer. Let's see if we can talk to it ourselves. We already, cool, here it is. Let's see if I can find it. Cool, bot Eric. Now I have my personal answer and question here. So, and this was still our name.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the team's name. So it took actually the name from the Azure portal in the beginning, and now we changed it to our name because we created a Teams app with our logo. Let's see what's happened in the Teams. Is it still our logo? Was my perhaps let's manage this team. See if my bot's in there. Nope. Can't I see my bot in here? I'm guessing no. Teams. Okay, here we go. Where did your logo go to, Stefan? It's this one, I'm guessing.
It's grayed out.
This one.
Yeah.
Okay, so our logo is here and this logo is here. So you have to be really specific and see that you always take the same logo if you're creating a bot, and always use the same name. Be consistent in naming and description, because otherwise it's going to look weird. Like we had here.
Put your teams in dark mode. That will work.
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea. Let's put my teams in dark mode. There we go. Cool.
There it is.
There we go. And now we have a cool logo. A good tip, Avi. So now we have a working bot uploaded to Teams with the Teams app. And then, of course, we probably, if we go back to our manifest, we'll probably have to, because now it's working in my tenant, but if we want to distribute over in my Teams environment, then we probably need to download it and give it to our tenant admin to deploy it.
Rick, when Stefan created the QnA, the knowledge base, he selected some chit-chat functionality. Can you try to ask the bot how old the bot is? Or something?
Let's see what it does. Which was not in the questions and answers, of course. Bot's okay. Cool.
That's nice.
How nice he is. Oh, nice. Okay, we can go on and on with this forever.
Yeah.
So this is provided by the bot framework already, or Stefan?
Yeah. This is basically what Microsoft came up with, their different personalities. And depending on the personality you choose, the answers to that questions will be different. So if you have like a professional one, probably won't answer you with nice, but it will answer you with a different answer. But yeah, that's provided by Microsoft. Of course, you can alter that questions and answers for the chit chat as well, because it's just copied into your knowledge base, and you can get more chit chat questions in there. But it's really important to have that in your bot, because the users will ask them, basically. So it's the first thing users will ask.
Yeah. Let's see what happens if I ask him, where is my beer?
It's not a Belgian. It's not a Belgian bot.
No, not a Belgian bot. Okay, now this was a QnA bot created from scratch, and we added it to Microsoft Teams. So I think, guys, next session that we're gonna make it a little bit more complicated, a little more complex. So I'm very curious about what we're gonna do next time. Let's just keep that a secret until then.
Yeah.
Or we really need to think about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that the guys will be watching.
Yeah, of course.